Good morning. At least it's good morning here and now anyway. We're doing our regular Zoom call on 7 Habits, and I will be joined very, very soon by my colleague and co-founder, Lucy Fournier. We are well into the meat of the book, and I hope you're getting it. I hope it makes sense to you. And we also hope that unpacking it matters. So please send us a note if you're enjoying this unpacking, and if it's helpful, send us a note, send us an email. My phone numbers are listed. You can do that too. So now we're just going to wait on Lucy. Okay. And there's Lucy. Good morning.
Good morning, Wayne. How are you?
I'm winning today.
You're winning every day.
Almost always.
Ah, good. Well, today we're here to talk about success principle number 4 from Jack's book called The Success Principle, How to Get from Where You Are to Where You Want to Be. What do you
Excellent.
think? Yeah.
I'm excited about this. Why don't you lead off?
All right. Well, success principle number 4 is believe it's possible. And I'll read a quote from his book. It says the number one problem that keeps people from winning today is the lack of belief in themselves. And what do you think about that?
I think it's word for word. I think self-doubt is what's crippling North America right now. And I think it's even worse during this season.
Yes, well, I think I agree. I think you have to have belief in yourself. I think if you don't, I really don't know that anybody else would, other than your coach, obviously, which is why we're here today.
There you go.
So, yeah, I think if you're having those feelings, I'm not sure if I can do that, or then you need to be looking at someone else to give you that extra nudge and support to follow your dreams and believe that it is possible to have whatever you want.
I agree with that. And it's not necessarily in this chapter, but I love Jack's quote, feel the fear and do it anyway.
Yes, Sandra Jeffries actually wrote a book on just that alone. It's a very good book, easy read, and it's worth picking up. I don't even know if it's $20. It's a really good find. And I think that one of the major concepts in this chapter is you get what you expect.
Yes.
So if you expect that you're not going to have a successful business or a successful relationship, then it's likely what you're going to end up with, which is not the way to go.
I agree completely. I've changed the words of Mick Jagger's "You Get What You Rolling Stones" song to "You Get What You Expect," and I'm no singer, but anyway.
Well, thank you for saving us from that.
There you go. One thing, you mentioned a quote earlier. I've got another quote of Jack's that I really, really like. It is, yes, it's by Napoleon Hill, who wrote Think and Grow Rich. It's actually page 43, I think. But Think and Grow Rich, I would say, is one of the most seminal books in the motivation and training industry. And his quote is, you can be anything you want to be if you believe with significant conviction and act in accordance with your faith. For whatever the mind can conceive and believe, it can achieve. I think that last part should be said again. For whatever the mind can conceive and believe, it can achieve. That to me is just so incredibly powerful. We should all have that memorized.
I agree. I do want to say a little bit of caution into what you believe.
Mm-hmm.
I think today, especially, and every day for all of our lives, is that we can get into some really mental health issues of having a little belief that things are kind of going on around you. Perception can be a little bit skewed. So check yourself and make sure that what you're believing in is something that's worth striving towards. That
Yes.
it's not a belief in what other people think of you or what your perception may be, or what other people may have their perception of what your plan is. So keep focused on believing in your plan and discount some of those other little thoughts that come into your head and want to trick you into believing something else. And I think this is a really, really important aspect of our entire lives, is that sometimes we get these little negative thoughts coming in and we need to decipher that that's just exactly what it is. And don't buy into the BS of it. And if I
I
can
like
say
that.
that, don't buy into the bullshit of it, because
Ah,
at the end of the day, if you believe you can achieve something, the rest of it should just fall itself away. The little negative thoughts or the inklings and people that are going to get in your way or the comments. And so it's really about believing in your goal and going forward. And you can still be aware of what's going on around you, but don't take anything to heart. Just keep moving.
I have to agree. I think we both would, I only speak for me, but I clearly want to mention that when we're in the goal setting, planning, and thinking stage, we clearly are not talking delusion. There are people who don't trust our industry that thinks we're training people, telling people they know how they can fly. That's clearly not what we're about. So within the realm of clear-headedness and a positive mental attitude is what we're discussing.
Absolutely. And one of the aspects in this chapter alone, it says it helps to have someone else believe in you first.
Yes.
So if you're having the difficulty in believing in yourself that you can do this, then it makes a really good case for you to get a coach, because they would support you in believing you first if you need that kind of help.
I happen to share that view, and I'm not even shy of a shameless plug. It's our interview.
Exactly. But I also think that the coaches are there to support you and believe in you, but you also need to have a measure of belief in yourself.
Mhm.
Despite the fact that there may be doubts, it's still, do you have the courage to believe enough in yourself to take that step forward?
I agree
Go
that.
after your dreams. And it's not, I mean, I just posted something today on Facebook. You don't need to do any of this kind of work or any of your dreams alone. You should be reaching out to somebody that can help you. Stay away from the naysayers, because a lot of
Mhm.
people out there were going to think you're crazy and not capable, and you have enough of those thoughts going on in your mind that you got to stay away from that. So you have to have the core belief that I can do this. Maybe not know how, but just is why you should get a coach.
Excellent. I want to spend a moment there because it's in the book. The first thing is set the goals. And then the next thing is make sure that they are been articulated, preferably in writing. And then the whys. Why is this goal important? That's actually part of the profound difference that gives you the strength and the energy and the reason to do it. It's not to check something off a checklist. This isn't going to the grocery store and picking up mayonnaise. This is about changing our lives. And something that he mentions right in this chapter is don't worry about the hows. The hows, the universe, and you will sort out. Worry about the whys, and the hows will take care of themselves as you work on them.
And I think you're referring to the chapter in the workbook, not necessarily the chapter in the Success Principle.
Yep, bit of both.
Yeah, in the Success Principle, chapter number 4 is about believing yourself.
Yep.
In the workbook, he does talk about goal setting, and it's really important that the two books do go hand in hand. And Jack in the workbook chooses very important aspects of his principles to go into further depth. So when you do get to that goal, yes, there's all that planning and believing and writing it down, obviously.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. And in the Success Principles, the man who wrote Jonathan Livingston Seagull, very famous book, says sooner or later, those who win are those who believe they can.
Exactly.
Those who win are those who believe they can. I think that's very powerful. And I think over the long haul, not every day, there are setbacks, but over the long haul, I believe that is true.
I totally agree. If you didn't think that you could do it, there would be no point even starting.
Here's a great quote that is actually by in the not the workbook, the main book. It says, it's not what you don't know that holds you back. It's what you do know that is not true. We all have these fake beliefs about ourselves that we haven't, that might have been true someday, or they might have been true for our grandparents or whatever, but they're holding us back because they haven't been tested and they're no longer true. I think you'd agree with me.
I totally agree. I think you have to just leave it a very blank slate in your head there. And if you have a dream you want to follow through on, just know that it's possible if you believe. And the rest will just fall away as you progress into that dream and make it possible. You'll realize that a lot of those thoughts and a lot of those comments that you've heard over the years from grandparents, family, generations, they'll just fall away, and you'll realize they'll be very, they're not real and they're not true.
I agree completely.
Yeah.
And I really like the fact that we're biting this into bite-sized pieces. This can be overwhelming. I've told on this book, I've said, no, don't read more than 5 chapters a week or you'll get discouraged. So, but I really like the idea that we're breaking into bite-sized pieces, and I hope it's helpful. And one thing I gotta say that impresses me, both Lucy and I are Jack fans. And anyone can buy a brand, and you want it to be the right thing, and you pay your money and they mail you a certificate, hopefully if you've done your work. But I just got a note from Jack that said, you know, you guys are already trainers. Here's something extra for you. Here's something you didn't buy and you didn't pay for, but we believe that you're valuable. And I think the people that are the trainers, like ourselves, share that. And it's nice to know, even at the top of the food chain, that Jack believes that.
I agree. I think Jack believes in the program that he has sold everybody, and millions of them have been sold for sure.
Mhm.
And rightly so, because he delivers a top-notch program. He believes in the end results,
Mhm.
like we do, and we follow suit because he does offer the expertise in a way that's manageable, as you said, in small bites. And so us doing chapter by chapter makes a really big difference for people. And I would really kind of go a little bit against you, Wayne. And I would say don't read more than 1 chapter a week, and don't even go to the second unless you've got the first one done.
Well,
So-
that's we're actually not going against me. You're just taking it to the next level. I don't disagree, believe me.
So I think it is very overwhelming, because you can go into a whole week course or a whole day program and go, oh my God, I have so much to do. How can I get it all done? And I'm going, that's the whole point, is you just do a little bit at a time, right? And so you can get very overwhelmed if you're not doing 1 chapter at a time and not implementing it before you go to the next chapter. So it's
Yeah,
really
this is not a Clive Cussler novel.
No, that one you cannot put down.
The other thing, by the way, and I have a short attention span, and I'll admit that, but I would not read a chapter, if it were me, I would not read a chapter if I didn't have a notebook beside me to write the notes, or a highlighter to actually highlight the parts of the notes. This isn't something you do once and forget. This isn't one and done. This is something you want to say, what am I learning? How does that teach me? How can I apply that? So please, this is not a passive read.
No, I totally agree. I mean, I've read this book numerous times, and every time there's something else will jump out at me, because at that moment in my life, that particular phrase makes a difference to me.
Yep.
Whereas in another month, it will mean nothing because I've already worked through that. So it's very important. Take 1 chapter at a time, make your notes, work on the things that you identify that relate to you, they resonate with you, and only then will you get to the next chapter and keep progressing. And it's not something that you can swallow whole.
I agree.
It's just too big.
I also have a note for the keeners. If you want to read a chapter ahead, so that you can send us questions so that we can answer your questions specifically, I'd be willing to do that. So read a chapter ahead, try to figure out what's in it for you, send us a note, and we'll deal with it quite specifically.
Great. And just so everybody knows where to get hold of us, we do have obviously this YouTube channel, and you can leave your messages here. We also have a Facebook page at coachingforme.ca, and that's our website as well, at coachingforme.ca. So feel free to catch us on any one of those social media sites, and we'd be happy to help you out. As part of our special offer, as you'll see on our website, we do offer a free Jack Canfield book with any paid session, and you don't need to go into a long series of sessions, but at least one to get you started. And this is the other thing, right, Wayne, is that people think it's very costly and have to go on for months and months and months. This is not therapy. This is coaching.
There you go.
And coaching can be done one session at a time. And
Mhm.
sometimes it can take you 6 months to get to the next session because you're doing the work in between.
Mhm.
So there's no rush. There's no absolute have to sign on for 10 sessions. It's one session at a time, or you can sign on for a block. But the whole point is that you're continuously working through the program.
And part of a way to explain something, if you're a believer and you read this book and you're excited and you have employees and you wish they were getting it, both Lucy and I are willing to joint coach your employees so that they get it. And it's a lot more affordable than you might think. So something to keep in mind.
Sounds great. So I'm going to sign off by saying catch this video on YouTube. It'll be posted there in the next few days, and check out our Facebook and our website. And we look forward to answering any questions or meeting up with you.
And I'm going to sign off. And Lucy, stay on the recording. I'm going to turn off recording. Have an amazing day. And I'll just follow up with my colleague, Lucy. Have a great day. Bye-bye.
Bye, everybody.
And we're